We've been moving into this place for the past couple weeks, and during that time I've been thinking about something. Filipinos often live with their parents even into their 30s, and some even past that. Usually kids will move out of the home once they're married, but some kids still live with their parents even when they get married. That's something I find really interesting here in the Philippines. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, I'm a freelance filmmaker based here in Manila, Philippines. Sorry, it's kind of messy around here. We just moved into this house. I recently moved from the States back here to the Philippines with my parents 2 years ago. Before then, I was living with a couple roommates in an apartment, but it was the first time I was living with my parents again after college 2 years ago. Here's my sister. She's visiting from the States. So she's 23? She's 23. She lives in the States with roommates. But here in the Philippines, all my friends, all my peers around my age, 25, 35, they still all live with their parents. I feel kind of normal living with my parents here, whereas I feel like in the States it would be kind of weird if you're living with your parents after 30. I think family is one of the top values of Filipinos, which has a lot of positives, but it also has some downsides. Also, I'm saving a ton of money by living with my parents, and I'm super grateful for them allowing me to live with them. I do at some point plan to move out, but right now I'm trying to get myself set here, working as a freelance filmmaker, so it's a lot of help living with my parents, and it's a lot of fun getting to know them in a different way than I knew them when I was younger. I've developed more of a friendship with them now compared to when I was younger, where it was just more of like a parent-child type of relationship. Do you like having me here?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I like talking with you, conversing, sharing ideas.
Do you think that me living with you now is different when I was like living with you in high school?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Well, you know what you're doing a lot more. You're more independent and confident, and we can learn from you.
Whoa. Still have a lot to fix in this house, so let's go bother my sister for a second. You think you would be able to live with mom and papa again?
No.
Why not?
It's hard.
Why is it hard?
Mama and Papa control every move you make. Just kidding.
Well, why do you like living on your own now?
I have more freedom.
What's harder about living on your own than living with your parents?
Yeah, I guess figuring stuff out for yourself is hard. Like, you have to suddenly cook now for everything. Sometimes it's like you just being home and then, I don't know, food is already there. But then if you live by yourself, you have to cook everything or go out and eat.
Which costs money.
Which costs money. You pay more attention to expenses for sure.
Yeah.
Everybody's always talking about how broke they are. What did you do when you lived alone in Korea that you don't do now?
Well, I don't have to pay for rent. That's a huge expense. Well, I don't have a car here anymore, but I don't think that has to do with living with your parents. I wouldn't have a car if I was living on my own here as well. Because a car is so expensive to maintain, to buy, to pay for insurance for. Here, public transportation is good enough, even if I'm taking Grab or Uber everywhere I go because it's so cheap here. So for me, that's a lot cheaper than having a car. I guess food too, my parents provide food for me. But I do eat out a lot as well here with my friends, with Hena, with my girlfriend Hena. It's a lot cheaper here in the Philippines.
Probably eat out about as much as you eat out.
Yeah, I remember when I was living in the States too, I ate out a lot.
I eat a lot of unhealthy food by myself.
Instead of cooking healthy food. Mga Filipinos dyan, alam mo, sa States, yung simulang 18 years old, umaalis na sa bahay yung mga kiddos. Usually, pumupunta sila sa college. Tas ayun,
wala na.
Ayun, umalis na sila sa bahay. Usually, nasa dorm sila nagsistay or naghahanap sila ng apartment. Tas tumitira sila kasama yung mga friends nila. Ganon. Compared dito sa Philippines, diba, most of us tumitira rin sa mga bata with our parents, diba?
I think it was really hard finding housing after college. Trying to find people to live with, trying to find housing that was affordable, doing the whole application process, credit check, all of that stuff.
I think one of the biggest learning factors living on your own is, you have to figure out how to do finances a little bit better, because you have to pay for rent, you have to set up your electricity bills, your water bills, etc. So you learn all those things. But I think for those of you Filipinos that are like complaining about living with your parents, living with roommates sometimes is just as hard. Some people, their cleanliness standards are not as high as yours, and some are even higher than yours. So of course you have to compromise as well with your roommates. You know, you have to figure out, okay, this guy isn't washing his dishes, or maybe someone's like, oh, they're complaining about you because you don't do your dishes. So there's a lot of conflict that can happen with your roommates. And trust me, like, there's a lot of best friends that have moved in together that start to hate each other just because they start living together. So if you think, if you're Filipino ka and nagko-complain ka na mahirap tumira sa bahay ng parents mo, there's also a downside to living with your friends. It can definitely change the dynamic of your friendship. But I think it is important to learn how to live independently, how to live with other people, because eventually if you want to get married, living together, living with other people can also help you feel what it's like to live
With other people.
Living with your friends can help prepare you for marriage when you eventually live with a partner.
Because you know what issues to address, you know what you need to talk about. Okay, we need to set cleanliness standards. We need to talk about who's gonna do this, who's gonna do that.
Yeah, and sometimes all those little things can turn into like big arguments. So it is important to learn how to compromise and live with other people. I think that's why I'm able to survive here with my parents, because even though we do argue sometimes, in the end, we are able to develop relationships. You know, I have to compromise some things. I have to be a little bit cleaner than I usually am. So, mga Filipinos dyan, do you like living with your parents, or are you like wishing you could move out at any point? People from the States or westernized countries, what do you think about this? You know, is it weird that people here live with their parents for so long?
When you live alone, a lot of stuff that usually your parents would do, like cleaning. So a lot of times my mom would be like, why don't you clean this? Why don't you clean that? But then it's because, like, you know, she's always there to clean it. But then when you live alone, you learn that, oh, this is actually getting dirty, I need to clean this more often, like my mom said. You know, you realize all the things your mom said is actually true, you need to do.
On the other hand of that, I grew up thinking like everything was so complicated, cleaning and cooking and everything. But I realized if you don't value some things as clean, like my mom, like is super, she's super detailed when it comes to cleaning. I'm not as detailed. So when you're living on your own, sometimes you can relax a little bit more. Like for me, I felt a lot less like I had to clean this every week, or, you know, you just have to clean what you want to be clean. But also if you're living with your friends and they are complaining that you're not as clean, you have to compromise and you have to be cleaner. So
I could feel what my mom felt sometimes living with other people, like, because if I was always the one who threw the trash, then of course the other person I live with will never throw the trash. So like, even if it's full, they'll be like, oh, someone needs to throw the trash, and I'll be like, well, let's throw it now then. And then it's like, oh, right, I should be throwing the trash as well.
what is it like living with me, Ma, now that I came home after college?
I love it.
Really?
But you have to adjust to how things are done here in the house. If we follow the standard operating procedures and what to do in the house, it will be more efficient and more harmonious relationship.
Oh.
I think it's really good. I love how Filipino culture really like value family and how they like to stick together. But I feel like it also prevents them from opportunities and growth and independence, because by living with your family the whole time, you're sort of dependent on them, but you don't go out and live by yourself, and that doesn't train you to be independent and rely on yourself. So I think by living at home it's good because you're with your family, but at the same time you're not learning and growing other skills that you have.
This video is probably getting really long. I want to ask Hena some questions, so let's cut over to her.
It's so slow, it's so long.
Hena here. She is how old?
I'm 28 years old.
And did you always live with your parents?
I always have lived with my parents since birth.
Until now. So not
Until
even
now.
during college?
Yeah, they won't allow me to go out by myself kasi they feel na I won't be secure, that something might happen to me, na baka may pumasok sa bahay ko or kung saan man ako mag-stay, na baka rapin ako or ewan. Madami kasing accident or parang crime dito sa Philippines, so they want it to be like secure sila sa bahay ng parents nila.
Did you know anyone in college that was living on their own?
Oo! Kaya nga parang ang complicated din sa if you're asking me na as Filipino. Kasi there are some Filipino na they are letting go of their children na sige, sa college, doon ka na lang tumira sa Makati. For me, siguro, ganun, na parang yung parents ko, ayaw nila ako na something like will happen sa akin. Parang they're always worried. Asan ka na? Kahit na 1 a.m. na pag hindi pa ako umuwi, aantayin nila talaga ako andyan sa labas ng bahay.
So yeah, every family here is different as well. So it's really interesting to get to know different cultures. I've learned a lot about Filipino culture since I've been here, even though I'm part Filipino, but I've learned quite a lot since I've moved here. I hope you gained some insightful information from this video. Yeah, please leave a comment to continue this conversation if you have any questions or stuff to say, maybe your perspective on this. Alright, see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.